superstars on the team, and now it's just about rallying around them and enabling them to do what they do best. CB, Matsy, you guys got the call on this one. This is going to be a banger for sure.
Yep, and it is going to be the match that I think is the most impactful, that is going to decide the bracket, decide whether or not Loyalty will have that 6th seed in the Pacific playoffs, if they have a date with some of our OCE pals, if they end up meeting a reject in the first round, which I think would be, you know, quite the welcome for them, or if N1HEX managed to do the impossible and send us to yet another 3-way tie for the bottom, only to be broken by our various tiebreaker rules. Never underestimate the Pacific region when it comes to having to run through the entire rulebook just to figure out who goes where.
They did it. I can't believe it. They did it. They actually banned the Dino first, so we might see the Gambit Protect. I talked about this at the start of the broadcast, and here it is, CB. N1HEX gets single-sided Gambit. Oh my goodness, I feel like an oracle right now, and I'm here for it. N1HEX, lock it in.
I just saw your brain expand, like your head is like 3 sizes bigger. You were like seeing into the future. I would have never predicted that these teams would ever in a million years let that one through, but Loyalty, clearly they've got a strategy, because you don't let that Gambit through unless you feel super confident in one thing or the other, and it seems like the Double Dinosaur is going to be their way forward. But as we've talked about before, when you let the Gambit through, you've got a you've got a whole checklist of things that you have to knock out. The Loki, the Star-Lord, both pretty high priorities. I don't know if Loyalty have a Rogue, so you could probably get away without banning that, but there's other things that you're probably going to want to stop. You know, the Daredevil, I think, is another pretty high priority. If not that, then the Black Cat. But we shall see. We're going to have a Phoenix Protect coming out from N1HEX, and I do kind of like that as well. I mean, there's a lot of, like, I'm not even sure what to make of this. Like, I kind of like N1HEX's look here, but Loyalty, like, it's aura. Like, it's aura to just let the Gambit through at a stage like this. When you got this much on the line to go for a play like that.
Oh, yeah. They're feeling confident as ever into this one. They're just like, you know what? We can deal with it. We don't care what you bring here. We're going to try and exceed it in every single way, but it looks like there's going to be no Rocket on deck this time. It's going to be the Battle of the Phoenixes here, and very keen for the last ban as well. Is it Mantis? Is it Loki? Do we see the double Loki ban? Nope, it's going to be Mantis. So, Bernard T'Challa is locked in, folks, and let's see how it all goes down.
It is a full strategist sweep in the bans for the side of N1HEX. So Loyalty do not have access to the Gambit, the Luna, the Rocket, or the Mantis. And that is a lot of very high priority targets that have been taken out. So kind of looking at the way this all plays out, you're kind of looking at Loyalty and being like, all right, what do we play? Like, you kind of have access to Loki Invis. Maybe you go Cloak Invis. Like, aside from that, like, it's really hard to mount a particular strategy when you don't have a solid backline, and so many of the other very strong things aside from the Gambit got sniped out away from you. So I don't know. Like, I like the aura from Loyalty to go for a play like that, but they still have to try and find a way to adapt. I'm struggling to say who came ahead in this ban phase, but I think it's N1HEX, and it's kind of hard to argue against that when they have access to the King of Thieves and so much more at their disposal.
Yeah, and speaking of the King of Thieves, they got a pair of thieves. You know, Black Cat coming out as well for them here. So, need to see how these players will fare with that at their disposal and maybe more. I like how Joey's playing into the Strange here, paired up with the Invis. So, good. They're playing for some early Portal Warfare there. See if they can scout out the front side of things. Let's try and stage themselves for an early fight here so they can see everyone's going through the main point of contention. And they're looking to meet them and greet them with open arms here, trying to see if they can put them in harm's way.
I think that portal might have even split off a couple of members of N1HEX. If they can isolate and clamp down onto one of them, they could try and find an early Elium here, and it looks like it is going to be D-Spooky, and Bumyoung is there with the Phoenix shots. Blaziken is trying to return the favor, and will do just that with a shot from on high, and with this high ground advantage, you kind of like N1HEX's chances in this one. Loyalty will find the first cap of the mission area, and will be happy to do so, but N1HEX, if they can find a couple more picks here, they should be able to find the flip quite easily.
Yeah, should be able to lock themselves in here. They do have the ban hammer at the ready, so if they need it, they can use it. But it is going to be NRX there, shutting down JZZ7. see if they can catch anyone else as well. Still a damage over the top there. The flip hasn't come through. Banhammer goes down. Wins go good with that one, and they will find KO for KO here on N1HEX at long last to branch it ahead here. But they're taking a bit of damage up front as well. Loyalty are not looking to concede this one easily. They're looking to keep fighting on and take the fight straight to them. But Blaziken blazes on ahead there, and now things all starting to crumble down. They lock in the double and are looking to get even further. Loyalty sent tails between their legs there as they're on the retreat.
And they already spent the Strange TP, so, I mean, if the N1HEX go all the way up to 99%, Loyalty might not get an opportunity to recontest. They fought so hard to try and keep that one in contention, but losing the flip and then trying to fight that one out for so long is a blunder that might come back to bite them, and it is going to bite them back quite hard, as in all that time, Exile has built up to that Royal Flush, and it is coming your way, and there's going to be an End Song Inferno as well, and you better remember this song. It's going to be stuck in your head for quite some time. Blaziken actually goes the opposite direction, doesn't find any elims off the back of that, but now Gamebo going in with that Galactic Legend as Blaziken just hits him with one quick tap, puts him down, and Loyalty are so caught out there. They do turn around and deal with NRX, and they're able to take down D-Spooky as well, so a slight man advantage as N1HEX have to tuck their tail between their legs and give ground. High ground indeed for Bum Young, who's going to take down Blaziken, and Loyalty are back in the front door. They have kicked it in, and they should be able to find the flip.
Yeah, great work off the back of the Stampede from an X's there, and to see if they can take some further territory forward as well. Not allow ease of access back to the mission area for N1HEX here. I like how Boomyoung's there playing it from a distance as well. They've got the end song at the ready if required, but not going to give it as yet, as still just holding steady. N1HEX, they're not looking to get dicey with it either. They're not looking to go for any flank actions. It's just all hands on deck here. Agamotto up front, locked down, and song straight into it. And they are doing the best they can, but Winsga and Co get the ebb and flow here. They are going to be able to lock down every which KO. It all falls apart for Loyalty. And now N1HEX will be able to take it right back before the lead was stolen.
And it's all because of that Eye of Agamotto from D-Spooky. The fact that he's able to catch on to Jay-Z meant no invisible boundary to protect from the onslaught that was coming their way. And the rest of the team, they saw that Invis was stunned. They bursted them down so fast that there was no opportunity for it. Now, sure, it's going to come out this time around, but it's only going to try and help you prolong this fight. It's 85% and counting. NRX gets caught out, and so does Winsker. And maybe you don't even need the invisible boundary. Maybe you just go for a good old full frontal assault, and they will do just that. Joey going in there and trying to take down D-Spooky, and he'll do that with a little bit of extra damage off of that. Just off of that Psychic Spear. Invisible boundaries now coming out for both sides. N1HEX are able to get one trade, but they're still down a man. And Song Inferno now coming out from Blaziken, and they'll be able to take down Jay-Z, but Joey on the other end has managed to take down the entire back line, and Loyalty are winning this fight with control of the point. D-Spooky gonna come back through with a strange TP, looking to try and build up that dark magic, get another big Maelstrom, but there's just no big beefy target, so Anixes is gonna present one, and there's the Maelstrom. He'll burst him down. Whizger coming back into the fray, taking down Joey. It's gonna be another portal play that comes out. Loyalty have managed to buy themselves just enough time. They're coming in with a Galactic Legend. Gamebo looking to try and find something with it. Blaziken wants to snipe him out of the sky, and a Raging Royal Flush will aid in his ability to do just that. D-Spooky going in with another Maelstrom, taking down Bum Young, shielding himself with a Psionic Seduction, not falling for the wily charms, and we have a disconnect! Loyalty have lost the Necrobe, and N1HEX will take the first point. Oh, Loyalty, you failed at the first key to victory. You gotta keep all 6 in the lobby.
Not again! Not again!
Not like
Not like this! Oh my goodness. What a tale it is unfolding before our very eyes right now. Can you believe it? N1HEX, they flex ahead of that one with the Raging Royal Flush to rush things back in, and just great work, you know, great start. The spark was there for Loyalty. They were taking it to them as well, but they just fell short when it mattered.
Yeah, and well, fell short quite literally in the manpower, losing out on Necrobe there. We're going to a quick pause. I think we try to get everybody from Loyalty back in. Make sure we get a full 6v6. No more of those preseason shenanigans. They want to take a good old-fashioned honest duel, especially when your playoff hopes are on the line. That is not something that you can abide.
No, you can't afford anything like that. You know, you need to take every win that you possibly can into this one, and very eager to see if they can bring things back heading towards Warrior Falls as well, as the Stellar Spaceport has gone down to N1HEX there. Loyalty, you know, they had opportunities. They were looking pretty good in some little moments there. Was particularly impressed with some of the Devil Beast rampages that they were able to turn the tides of the fight with there, but we'll see if they can really inject that kind of presence and firepower into the next capture point as well. I'm curious whether they adapt around some of their heroes as well, bring maybe something a bit more dive-centric into it. You know, they could play around the cap, for example, similar to what we saw in our last matchup, or maybe something else, but it's all going to be up to the teams.
I think on a map like Warrior Falls, you're going to need to try and go for an adaptation like that. Like this front-to-back playstyle, like it's going to work pretty well when you're in control of the point, but when you are not in control, it's so hard to try and break through any of these choke points. And, you know, I also kind of feel like both teams, they use their Doctor Strange TP, so you can't even try to go for like an early angle play. It's just going to be a brawl, you know? It's just going to be a straight-up brawl. And one that I think Loyalty, if I'm correct, I can't actually see right now, but I believe they had a slight ultimate advantage, so maybe they can get a little bit of an edge once that fight starts to break down. But there's really no way outside of trying to change your composition that you're going to be able to catch them off guard here.
Yeah, there's no other way that you're going to be able to catch them off guard, you know, otherwise you're going to be left behind into this one. And I guess one thing that Loyalty probably going to be taking into consideration towards map 2 is maybe not letting the gambit through, you know, because that was the big difference maker, especially in that first capture point there. So they either need to find a way to adapt around it in the second one, or otherwise just get rid of it entirely heading in towards our second map eventually. We do get there, but I guess, you know, we've seen one gambit come through tonight. Do you think we're going to see it again at some point tonight, CB?
I mean, I don't hate the way that Loyalty did play around it. I think, you know, they might be willing to give that one up again. We'll see how Warrior Falls plays out, but there was one fight where N1HEX were going to try and go for a Royal Flush and Song Inferno combination, and Blaziken popped the U-turn and went around for something else. I think it was the Jeff ultimate, and I think he whiffed on trying to shut that one down, so you didn't actually get a full execution of that combo. And if Loyalty can keep forcing errors like that, you're more than welcome to let the Gambit through, because you're not actually getting any value out of his ultimate, and that's the whole reason why you pick the Gambit.
Yeah, the whole reason why you get it locked in, locked down there, and very keen, very curious to see what else will be looking to unfold here for our teams as they get prepped up and good for battle. But speaking of battle, what kind of battle do you want to see ensue into future seasons, CB? Do you want to see more domination maps like me?
I mean, I feel like we've got so many convergence maps, we can probably, you know, ditch that. I kind of want to see a few more convoy maps. Like, I always love the aesthetic of some of the convoy maps. Like, I'm a big Spider Islands fan. I think that might be one of my favorite maps in the game. I want to see some more of these, like, long, beautiful corridors that we get to escort a cart down, because that's my favorite thing in the world, is escorting a cart.
I'd love to see it, you know, and I'm sure the card appreciates you for escorting it safely to the
What kind of locations would be good though? Like what, like, because we've got so many New York maps. I've talked at length about how if you are in the MCU, New York has to be like the worst place in the world to live, because there's always stuff happening. There's like, you've got Thanos and the Chitauri invading, you've got random senators like, I don't know, nuke them about it, like you're about to nuke the whole city, and you're just like, I'm just here because I like bodegas. Like, come on, give me a break.
I really would love to see something themed around the TVA, or like the TVA headquarters. You know, I feel like I'd go in another direction, play into something like that. Explore some of the extended parts of the universe there.
Each of the checkpoints just like going through a different door or something like that, like into different realities.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a lot of fun. You know,
you just got like Kang waiting at the end of it.
Exactly, and I feel like it'd be perfect for like a domination map, right? Because of all the different points of contact that you could have, like out of the TVA offices. I think it'd be awesome.
Well, we've got our contacts, and we have Contact and Necrobe, gotten him back in the lobby, and it gets to hold on to that Jeff ultimate. So again, a slight ult advantage for Loyalty coming into this first fight with both the Jeff ultimate and the End Song Inferno. D-Spooky coming up on another Eye of Agamotto, and N1HEX with a calling card, so it's a very narrow window of opportunity for Loyalty, and I think they need to seize it as fast as they can.
Yeah, need to seize that opportunity quick as possible here. And See if they can take advantage of it. The Crobe does have its Jeff available, and that could be a great way to turn the tides into the early phase here, but they might be conserving it for later in the piece. NRX, though, not going to allow them much opportunity. Calling card comes in. It's Jeff in response from the Crobe there. If they can capture more of their enemies, it could be perfect. Speaking of perfect, though, Bunkyung going to be able to shut them down immediately. Great start from Loyalty onto this one. Winska trying to bring out the Banhammer to shut them down, but it just isn't working. No matter how close they get to a KO, it all falls apart here as they just shut them down, player by player, piece by piece, and Loyalty restore peace onto the mission area.
And late Elim onto Fish, trying to return to the water from whence he came, and we'll send you down there, old friends, just not in the way that you were hoping. Loyalty do a really good job of seizing that opportunity. It's all off the back of Bumyoung finding a couple of those shots with the Phoenix, but now it's going to be a tall ask as N1HEX have a decisive ult advantage, and the longer you wait, the more imminent this threat of the Raging Royal Flush is going to be. And this time with no It's Jeff to try and bait Blaziken out, you're going to be feeling the full force of that combination. I'm wondering if N1HEX is going to try and play for that. Spooky gets isolated from the rest of the team, though, and you're losing out on that Eye of Agamotto, and Bumyoung's able to take down Winsker. So with no Vanguards, N1HEX don't really have much choice but to abandon all ships here and concede this choke point again to Loyalty. Fish gonna pop that invisible boundary, though, and Blaziken's able to take down one, so they think this is turnable. And with a double KO now for Blaziken, they just might be right. It's gonna be a strange TP to get the Vanguard line back on the front lines, or rather in the back line, and that's exactly where the Deagle shots are coming from, taking down NXTs, and N1HEX are able to find it.
Yeah, find exactly what they were hoping for there. Good early capture, and now looking to rise up to the high ground so they can stage themselves accordingly for the next fight here. Gonna just wait things out, play around the utility, stifle any efforts on the low ground accordingly. So good shots from Winska there, just trying to divert lines of sight. Might even shut down to Crobe if they get a little antsy with it. Look at those shots already coming through, and need to see how things go with the Ensong Inferno right now. NRX already starting off strong there. Bombyoung's down, now Galactic Legend, but it doesn't even matter. It's ripped apart from M1HEX here. They're just flexing their muscles and feeling good about it. It's Jeff came out from the Crobe, but they stop it just on the edge. Big shout out to NRX for locking it in, and they get the staggered KO on the Joey, so M1HEX are in the lead.
That time, Blaziken got every bit of that Royal Flush combo, and NRX was able to get in there and find it at Elim even before that combination comes out, so there really was no hope for Loyalty. They're going to make some adjustments. Necrobe now off of the Jeff and over onto the White Fox, kind of feeling the pressure from NRX on these dives and wants something a little bit more survivable. Jeff just wasn't cutting it, so now Loyalty, with this new look, are going to have to try and find a way to burst on through this, and even ult bank on both sides, and Bumyoung again hitting the shots. He does not miss. He takes down X-Lail, and that is going to be a blast of barrage now coming out from Gabo to take down Fish, and this should be Loyalty winning this fight outright, but NRX is able to find a triple through the midst of it, make it a quad, and N1HEX just shut Loyalty's momentum down. A Double Beast Rampage from Annexes is going to expire, and so too will his life. 83% for N1HEX. It's one fight territory, and Loyalty are running out of time.
A shortcut through space.
One last opportunity here for them to make it happen. Let's see if they can make it work. Ensong Inferno up front and ready to gun their way into it, and it now comes crashing down as the boundary comes through. Agamotto locking him in place. Regeneration domain, no, feeling the pain there, and they will be looking to push it as far as they can in OT right now. Winska playing around the bubbles there, looking to reunite with their team, ignite the battle, and see if they can rattle it up, and the boundary will come out in response. But Loyalty not even close to the ults right now. If they can just sustain through this fight, charge themselves back up, it could be everything they need. The Ensong, though, could be the answer to try and shut them out of it, but Job just retreat back, but not able to unpack it. Necrobe goes down. A great trade from JZ there. Joey following it up as well. Loyalty taking them all down in the neutral here. M1HEX in deep trouble. The Raging Royal Flush, a flight of desperation. The boundary gonna...
They've managed to find the flip, and there's a Maelstrom to pop D-Spooky, and Fish is going to be next on the chopping block, albeit staggered late. Loyalty are going to make him wait for it, or better yet, do it himself. It's going to be so much time bought as Fish is still away from the rest of the team, not going to be getting back anytime soon. Loyalty They've managed to get this one into one-fight territory, and it's off the invisible boundary from Jay-Z. Now they're going to have an ult advantage going into this one. God of Mischief, Psionic Seduction, Eye of Agamotto. Pick your poison. N1HEX don't really have a good way to burst on through this. There's the Eye of Agamotto up on high ground, and two members quickly fall, and there ain't a damn thing that N1HEX can do about it. Psionic Seduction comes out. Winsker is able to shut down Necrobe, so a major source of the healing dealt with, but there goes NRX, not able to capitalize off of that one, and Bumhyung is once again hitting the shots. Blaziken is going to retort, but Gamebo will shut him down, and Loyalty tie it up. They take Warrior Falls, and we're going all the way to Imperial Institute for the rubber match.
Oh my goodness, we're going all the way for this one. Can you believe it? Loyalty, run it back when it counts, and they will mount a recovery for the ages. Now, one last capture point, one last opportunity here on both sides. Will N1HEX be able to build themselves back up here, or will they be sinking deep in the quicksand? It all comes down to this moment, and Loyalty, they've already got advantage in the opening. Necrobe with the God of Mischief could be exactly what they need here. Start on strong with the strong strategist ult there. Look to replicate whatever they choose, whether it's a boundary, whatever they want, they can make it happen. But preparation time is going to be dialed out as the gates are just about to open here. N1HEX, Loyalty, your time is here. Your time is now.
The time is near also for the Unsung Inferno from Bumhyung, and I think that might make the difference when it comes to this one, because you can wait out an invisible boundary from that God of Mischief from Necrobe, but you're going to have to deal with the damage that comes your way. And luckily for N1HEX, you know, you've managed to get rid of all the potential damage amps in the ban phase, the Luna, the Mantis, the Gambit, the Rocket, so you're not quite as worried about those, but Bumhyung has done so much damage, even without it, just in the neutral, that it really doesn't even matter. But Blaziken is no slouch when it comes to these hit scan heroes, and is stacking up the sparks, already forcing out the regen domain, trying to burst down Annexes as well, and maybe get Bumhyung with a little bit of that AoE damage, shut down his contemporary there. Gamebo is trying to put the pressure onto him, but is going to feel the pressure himself and gonna have to get out. NRX, though, on the other hand, wants to shut down the ultimate from the Necrobe, and will do it! The God of Mischief came out, but what's a god to a non-believer, as NRX gonna pop that calling card, go in deep, take out Jay-Z as well, make it a triple now for NRX, and once again, the Black Cat paying off dividends, and N1HEX will get the first cap.
We'll get the first cap and ready to pop it through. Let's see if they can lock it down in a second here. I love the tight angle the Blaziken's holding here. They can really stage themselves accordingly. It's looking nice, like reminiscent of Bobo's play, to be honest, on the Phoenix there. You know, they're holding tight lines of sight, ready to scout ahead and spread their reach, and Fish is doing the exact same thing there. Just looking to hold the angles, prepare for the fight, and now they light things up in a huge way as they will blaze ahead with KOs for the ages here, CB. Oh my god!
Yeah, even the regen domain couldn't save you from the heat that was coming your way. Gamebo tries to go for a cheeky little back cap there and will get capped by a Winsker, and that is going to be an easy fight win for N1HEX, but here's the problem. They used all of their ultimates and they didn't build any other up, because the fight happened so quickly. No one else was doing any damage or healing. Loyalty just got Thanos snapped, basically, and now they are going to be coming up to an invisible boundary. Potentially, Gamebo can build up to that Let the Devil Out, and N1HEX aren't going to have anything to deal with either of those ultimates, so it's now or never for Loyalty, as 56% and counting. This is the fight that they have to win. A huge ante comes out, not able to confirm any KOs off the back of it, but they are looking to set up a pinch here as Winsker goes one way and the damage is coming from another. He's got NRX by his side as well. Invisible boundary from Jay-Z on the point to try and give Loyalty a red carpet to walk themselves on out for, but Necrobe sliced to ribbons by the katanas, and a band hammer out onto Gamebo is going to make it so much more difficult for him to try and find anything, as NRX once again going in deep into the back line, taking down two, is going to take down Bumhyung as well, and Loyalty are swiftly evicted from this point. 85%. Only one fight left for Loyalty to try and take this the rest of the way. They're going to have to go for a strange DP play to make it happen, but now the ults are going to start to come online for N1HEX. 60%, 80% doesn't matter. Sooner or later, it's going to be 100, and that is when it is time to throw down. D-Spooky with a kick through onto Necrobe, though. It's such a rough way to start this fight. Gamebo has to let the devil out.
Let it out and lock it back in here as D-Spooky spins things together. Great opening for their team, and they're frying it up with Blaziken. Winsker ready with the katanas as well. Slice and dice and keep it nice as N1HEX will be able to lock it down in the end there. 2 capture points to 1. They get it done on domination. A great way to start things off here in the series. And now Loyalty left behind.
And you know Rival Esports are watching this fully clenched because they are one map away from potential elimination. If N1HEX are able to get the dub here and get it in swift fashion, they will know that they are going to have to get that map win against Zeros and Aztec, try and make up that map differential. Their fate is no longer in their hands, but N1HEX, the masters of their own fate and potentially the masters of loyalties as well. 21 final hits for Blaziken and 21 as well for NRX. That is a double blackjack, and how fitting that it comes off of getting the gambit through. The Royal Flush is coming in clutch, and again, we see why you don't let this guy through. Whether it's the Star-Lord or the Phoenix, it doesn't matter. The burst damage with that ultimate is just too much to bear, and Royalty just weren't able to get through on the fights that they needed to win outside of those Royal Flushes.
Yeah, they weren't able to really make it count when it mattered there, so unfortunately it will be crumbling right on the edge of a glory. It will be a sore sight for them, but it's not the end of the road. There's still a road to recovery yet ahead of them. You know, they can play it out on map number 2 here, whether it's Convoy, whether it's something else. All going to be up to them at the end of the day here. And we get to check out some of the best moments from this one as well. As you can see, some incredible stuff coming out from both sides. There's a big reason that it went to all 3 capture points here.
And a not insignificant part of that is NRX going crazy on this Black Cat. You could even see Loyalty forced to try and make adjustments off of their comfort picks over onto things like the White Fox, having to abandon the Jeff altogether just to be able to live through the onslaught that NRX was putting out. This fight right here was insane. A quad that comes through from NRX off of a fight that Loyalty, it felt like they had already won. Bumyoung was hitting the headies with those Phoenix Sparks, stacking up the damage, getting the headshots, found a triple, but NRX comes through with a quad and turns it right around, and that kind of felt like that was the story. Once NRX got let off the leash, there was really no way to click it back on.
Yeah, just not able to shut them down in any way, shape, or form there. You know, they let the NRX out, and then they managed to rip it all apart. So, incredible work coming through from them and theirs, but there's more work yet to be cooked up. We got to get things stirred up and prepared on the other side of this break, everybody. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Map 2 right after this.
Bombs away! Maximum pulse!
You made me angry! We are undefeatable!
Well, 1 gambit allowed through the draft phase on map number 1 of this series, and 1 win for N1HEX. Just 1 away from potentially ripping away Loyalty's playoff hopes. What a map, though. Quite a back and forth, and big on Blaziken and NRX from N1HEX. Absolutely stepping it up there on map number 1.
And they've kind of been doing that all stage long. That, like I said, they just haven't been able to close out any of these series. They have managed to take maps off of some of the best that we've got. Your Zero Tenacities, your Burgers, your AAADs. Teams that they realistically have no business taking maps up against. And, you know, before this, they're kind of feeling like, okay, you know, maybe we're out of it. We haven't managed to get a series win. Maybe we don't qualify for playoffs. But after yesterday, they said, oh, so you're saying there's a chance. Let's step it up 1 more notch, and we'll really take it to Loyalty on the last day of it. And we're seeing that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like a case of, hey, maybe we don't have some playoff hopes here, or ours are kind of a long shot to the moon and back, so we'll take you down with us here. A big opportunity for N1HEX. So, Matsy, obviously, Gambit can't let him through the draft phase again, but what does Loyalty need to change here, or what are your thoughts? What do they need to do to try and turn this series around?
Maybe they can take Gambit for themselves next time. I don't think that's going to happen. But no, I'm curious to see the Battle of the Beasts. You know, I think that they'll probably head towards a more traditional draft heading into the next one. You know, I'd predict we'd probably have the Battle of both the Beasts on Lower Manhattan. Okay, looks like we got the new trend on deck here. Once again, I'm not going to be playing into the museum, so no contemplating, not today. Thank you very much, teams. But we are going to Lower Manhattan.
No contemplating, and also no ult tracking. Don't gotta worry about tracking that Raging Row flush if you have the map do it for you. All right, guys, he's at 80%. We gotta go now, because if he gets up to 100, we're cooked.
Yeah, thanks to Mayor Fisk's city-wide lockdown. You will know when your doom is coming at the hands of Gambit. It'll be right there in your face. But, you know, N1HEX have been in this position a couple times now in Stage 1. A big map opener win for them, taking the first one, but it feels like they can't quite find a way to finish their food here. I have been told, CB, that you've said N1HEX has some sauce for sure, but it feels like the pasta underneath is still a little undercooked. Is there something they can do here to get the follow-through, to get the finisher in this series?
They just gotta stick the landing. Like, it's honestly that simple. Like, they've got it right in their sights. They're one map away from finally closing one out against Loyalty. You know, in theory, potentially the easiest team to beat, but if the bar is that low and they're still able to clear it, and that's, you know, being a little bit disrespectful to Loyalty because they managed to beat rival esports by the transversive property. They're stronger than N1HEX, and any of them could realistically qualify here. Loyalty have to run it back and go for a reverse sweep, and N1HEX cannot let that happen. They got to stick the landing, and they cannot let Loyalty start to get a little bit of wind in their sails. Otherwise, it might be reverse sweep territory.
Yeah, I mean, starting to feel that way. Matsy, what's the over-under here? Are we looking at the turnaround, the reverse sweep here from Loyalty right into playoffs, or is it just going to slip through their fingers?
I think that they have to really concern themselves with picking themselves back up, right? They had some unfortunate circumstances into that first map there, which can maybe be a little bit tilting. So I think that if they can just hold themselves accountable heading into the second map here, there's definitely a semblance of hope that they could turn this around and maybe move it towards a full reversal. But their opponent has also been very competitive. You know, there's a big reason why they won that first map in contention there. They've had a lot of surprises into Stage 1 so far, and they could just take it the full distance as well. So it's a real big test for both of these rosters as to who's going to be able to really take hold of this next one.
And I think when you have two teams that are this evenly matched, it does kind of come down to that pick and ban draft. And, you know, you're saying, like, you know, we can't let the Gambit through, but I think there's also something even more sinister, and it's NRX on that Black Cat. You know, you don't really seem to have the same capabilities when it comes to the Black Cat, so, you know, you're probably willing to let that one through, but you have to make sure that you're able to get something for that as well. Something that can survive is something that can live through the onslaught. You know, they tried to come out with the Jeff. It didn't work. You had to swap over to the White Fox, and that was okay. I think you need to make sure that you have access to the White Fox as well, but also a little bit more, because even the Loki, like, it just wasn't it. Like Necropia was, like, dying with ult, like, left and right. Like, it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, I mean, Black Cat definitely is going to have to be answered, and she's been a question a lot of teams have struggled to find the answer for. She's going to run roughshod over several teams, not just in Asia, but across all the regions of Marvel Rivals Ignite. So definitely some questions that Loyalty have to answer going into map number 2 here. Fortunately for them, it is going to be on their territory this time around, and of course, it is going to be Lower Manhattan, so mixing things up for sure here. But of course, you know, it seems like the work is pretty cut out here, pretty straightforward for Loyalty. You know, take care of the Gambit, because I don't think they can take that risk again, and they've got to keep a lock on NRX, because as soon as you let him take an inch, he will find the full mile, multiple multi-KOs, a penta. I think he almost ran the gamut, right? The triple, the quad, the penta, so many numbers up on that board at the end. So definitely a tough question to answer, but it's all in Loyalty's court.
Fibonacci sequence KOs, like,
We're doing a lot of math here tonight on the Asia desk for sure. A lot of mathematics. Again, like I said, TI-87 on my desk, out and ready. And the calculations right now not looking super hot for Loyalty, but they are going to look to turn it around with their map pick. We are almost ready to get underway here. I want to see Loyalty change up the formula. It is definitely a go back to the drawing board moment, but they know what is on the line here. They know how serious this matchup is. So I think, you had your opportunity. You said maybe let's let the Gambit through, see how we do without Devil Dinosaur. And I think the answer for them was, I think Gambit is just such a more serious threat. And every once in a while, we need a reminder. Why is Gambit almost permabanned? Map number 1 here in this series is why.
Every now and then, you got to put your hand on the stove to remember that it's hot.
Yeah, maybe you got to test the theory for yourselves. Some personnel need to learn the hard way, and I got to respect him for it. And that's why you got to rely on your strategists to heal up some of the mistakes you might make. Yeah, even ones that sound like that. But no Gambit this time. They've learned.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, no. Yeah, gonna go ahead and ban out the Gambit. Still gonna get that early protect onto the Devil Dino. It's not gonna be one-sided this time, and I think you're okay with that. Honestly, like, if you're able to get the Phoenix through, like, it's almost better, right, to have the Devil Dinosaur, because he's just such a huge hitbox. You can just farm up the damage, farm up the sparks, farm up the AoE, because, everyone's gonna be playing around him, so it just gets so easy to start to build up to those End Song Infernos to combo with some of these other potentially damage-amped utilities if you can get those through the pick in the ban draft. Luna Snow with that Fate of Both Worlds, not going to be amongst them, as that is going to be banned out for the side of Loyalty. We'll see what the back half of this draft looks like, though, because this is where things are going to get a little bit more spicy.
Yeah, this is where things are going to change up on one direction or the other here, as they will be looking to lock it down in a second. Mantis and Rocket locked away, so Loyalty can realistically try and get some other kind of protect through here. Both teams have the Dinosaur at their disposal, but it is going to be the Phoenix locked in for them this time. So could see that going in both sides this time around. Maybe looking to trade Mantises. There you go. So that one's going to be locked in.
Manti.
One more protect. Yeah, Manti.
Is that the plural? Is that the plural for Mantis, or is it only if it is in like US? Is it a Mantis, Mantises, Manti?
Manti.
Either way, we also kind of glossed over the Black Cat ban did come through for Loyalty, so they don't have to worry as much about NRX unless he's also got a deadly Daredevil in his back pocket, in which case, you're still gonna have to worry about it all the same, and those perma wall hacks as well, as if, the map didn't already provide that. Maybe you're kind of hoping that Lower Manhattan just kind of makes Daredevil redundant. Like, yeah, sure, you can see through walls. We all can, nerd.
Yeah, you tell him. Everybody gets access to that tech there, and speaking of tech, we're going to see some different tech on deck. We do have Gambo hovering over the Moon Knight, NRX playing maybe Star-Lord, Psylocke perhaps. There's opportunities for them. We'll see which one does get locked down in the end, though. Necrobe still thinking about who they want to be this time around. They're still thinking about where they want to go. But where we are going right now is Lower Manhattan. We get to see all of our favorite parts of the landscape there. The balloons are at the ready, because this map is going to be a party.
This map, I think, the way we've seen it play out, it very much so, it's reminiscent of Central Park in a lot of ways, especially with the compositions that teams like to play. You see a lot of Groots, you see a lot of Moon Knights, sometimes you see a Penny Parker or two coming through here or there. Not to spoil the surprise, but I can already see the comps that we're playing, and it is going to be a Groot on one side and a Moon Knight to boot on the attacking side for N1HEX, and Loyalty are going to look to try and bunker up with a Moon Knight of their own, and as they were able to get the Loki through this time around, Gamebo is going to be manning that one to start off with. So we'll see if Loyalty are going to be able to stand tall on their defensive side here. So there's going to be a lot of front-loader damage coming their way from N1HEX.
Yeah, looking to see if they can bash down the front door on this one. Come in absolutely blazing, but they are going to be looking to fight it out around the corners to start off with here. Going to see if they can play around the walls and go at it from a different approach. They're already taking a ton of damage, though, and they have lost NRX, so great from Jay-Z to catch the opening KO onto them there. Doesn't allow the Hand of Khonshu to charge up nice and quick. Necrobe getting closer and closer to that, and they've lost at Winsker as well, so Loyalty just doing a great job to disparage any offensive pressure that N1HEX were trying to build up here, and Necrobe ain't even done yet. They're looking to lock it in for the triple, and they will succeed. So, a great opening start here for Loyalty.
Yeah, I kind of liked the opening from N1HEX though as well, using the shield from the Devil Dino to try and go for a little bit of a rotation, but man left behind, JZ cleans it up, and when you're down a man, you can't really set up that formation, and crucially with it being NRX, like that's the bulk of your damage. It all comes down to Blaziken to try and make it all up, and it just doesn't come through. Loyalty able to stand tall on that first defense, but now the second one is where it's going to get a little bit more interesting, as more ults are going to have to come online, and Loyalty have to try and play their ult economy correctly. A Hand of Conju online for Necrobe, and he's going straight in there with it. He'll take one down, bursting down that dinosaur, sending him back to the Stone Age to meet the Flintstones, and NRX is going to fall as well, and it's going to be another successful defense here for Loyalty, and they're able to do it efficiently.
Yeah, able to do it efficiently there. Yabba dabba do. What else can they do? Let's see how it all plays through here. It's Necrobe. Will be holding it back for the second. Arcs at the ready as well, so they're prepared for whatever N1HEX is going to be bringing to them right now. But one Bionic Hook would be a big difference maker. Speaking of, X-Lyle already taking a bunch of damage there. Necrobe just so ready for this, you know? They're just injecting so much punishment from afar and charging themselves up all the meanwhile. I'm keen to see if they can lock in more from there, but Boom Jung will be the difference maker in the beginning. Boundary going up here. The fight already starting. Good late trade from N1HEX with the dance floor, and they're ready to bring out more as the Strangling Prison opens the door on this one, CB.
There's going to be a visible boundary to keep everybody alive, though, and there is another one coming on through. Sonic Seduction now from Joey, trying to catch whoever is inside of those invisible boundaries and make them look at the pretty lady, and Bumyoung is going to fall, so one less man to try and follow up on that damage, but Necrobe trades it out with that Moonblade downrange, taking down Blaziken, and N1HEX tucking their tail between their legs and trying to fall back again, conceding all the ground that they were able to bring, and Bumyoung now going to teleport behind them potentially with this Doctor Strange TP play. Interesting pitch coming out. A kidnap onto D-Spooky. Hello, welcome to my neighborhood, my friend. It is not a friendly one.
Yeah, welcome to their house there. There's no Spider-Man, no friendly neighborhood. It's just going to be unfriendly and attacking all the way through here. See what else they can lock down onto this one. Now as Loyalty continue to bring up such prowess on their defensive side here, and N1HEX are just unable to respond in any way, shape, or form. They might be able to form some kind of a comeback with the boundary, but I mean, Loyalty, they can just go first and just shut them out. The time is not on N1HEX's side at all, and they are looking in a bit of trouble. But speaking of trouble, N1HEX bring it as they open the KO feed.
That's exactly what you need, but you gotta watch out for this Hand of Conchu. You also gotta watch out for Joey just running it right down mid, holding M1 and burning down NRX. There's an invisible boundary now coming out from both sides. The Venn diagram in full effect, and X-Lail getting some good damage in. They're able to find a headshot onto Gamebo through the invisible boundary. That is exactly what NRX need, and there's another one, N1HEX. He's able to find two with the Ice Arts there. Necrobe with a late stagger. JZ gonna be next up, and N1HEX have seemingly cracked this one open. And remember, Bumyoung used the Strange TP early on, so it's not gonna be there. And N1HEX know it, so they keep their foot on the gas. They pressure Loyalty back. They take point A, but they are not content with just that. They want to rule these streets of Lower Manhattan. So Blaziken gonna take to the high ground. Sonic Detonation not able to confirm the Elim onto Necrobe, and Loyalty have their feet back underneath them. But Bumyoung's feet are in a very unfriendly location. Hand of Conchu coming out from Necrobe, forcing out that Fatal Worlds now from X-Lail. N1HEX still in this one, taking down Annexes even through the invisible boundary from Gamebo, and a nice little headshot onto Necrobe as N1HEX keep this momentum going.
Yeah, keep it going, keep it flowing, and D-Spooky good with the Strangling Prism there. Locks them in place, and we'll clear up the place with Blaziken burning through everything right now. Going to be a great way to keep this push going on the mission vehicle, and looking to see if they can shut them out even further here. NRX is ready as well with the last stand at the ready to be the difference they need here. Playing into the Primal Flame team up. Love to see that one back in action, and see if they can fine-tune things to slow things down towards the next choke point here. But an Nexus and Go, they're ready to hunt down their next prey. Let's see if they can save the day.
Already procking the bleed there onto Winsker, forcing out the shields as well. So N1HEX already in a little bit of disarray as Loyalty have managed to wrap all the way around, essentially flip the map, giving up a little bit of car progress to make it happen. But if they're able to find a pinch onto Winsker here, isolated in a corner, putting this dinosaur in timeout and putting him in the jaws, taking a bite out of him. Last stand though coming out from NRX, and it's a huge one. Only able to take down Necrobe, but did catch 3 in there, so there might be some cleanup damage that comes on through. Trading out Winsker in order to make it happen. Invisible Boundary coming out from Loyalty, and they're able to use that as a stomping ground as they stamp out this attack from N1HEX in only 45 seconds. They got to take a reset, but it's going to be another stagger onto Fish. And oh, please grant me that sweet relief.
Oh, you could get it. And they will lock it in the end there. So Fish sent back to the ocean. We'll see if they are going to find any more KOs from there as Necrobe charging themselves up accordingly. NRX now going to be playing in into the Bucky. See if they can get a lucky bionic hooker through, or maybe something else. Necrobe target acquired, and the Carbon Crush will be able to allow them to rush ahead and lock down the KO onto Winsker. The trade's coming out from N1HEX though, but it's the Moon coming down before them to try and settle the score here, even up the playing field. They still have to give it their all because it's OT time right now. It's crunch time. N1HEX, one last opportunity. Can they make this work, CB?
OT on Lower Manhattan. Jazz music intensifies. It's 2 for 2 trades, but both members are going to be coming back from the spawns, and the spawns are relatively equidistant, so there's not going to be a man advantage on either side. But an early invisible boundary from Fish looks to try and get N1HEX into this fight. Bumyoung with the Ensong of her. I think that was forced out. Didn't want to use it just yet, but his health bar got so low that he has no choice. Will clamp on down, but Xlail's going to heal all that damage right back up with the Fate of Both Worlds. Spooky goes in deep and takes down Gamebo, so there's not going to be a second boundary that comes out for the side of Loyalty. And Winsker now with the Chomp taking down Jay-Z, and another one for Joey. Bro is feasting. It is a full course buffet and a nice little freeze from Xlail. N1HEX are still in this fight, still going to keep this shield mobile rolling on towards point B, but they got another fight they got to get through if they want to get this cap and take it on to point C, and it's going to be a TP play that comes out from Gamebo. They've got the ults to try and use them, but they don't want to hold on to them, or they want to hold on to them so they can carry them on to point C. Devil Beast Rampage, though, going to come up from Rinsker. They're not willing to give this one up. Bumyoung on a sliver of HP, but they can't confirm the Elim. He goes back to the strange TP. D-Spooky now let that Freedom Charge come out. Kraken impact from NRX, but it's just not finding what it needs to as NXT's come through the portal with a Devil Beast Rampage. D-Spooky is going to find an Elim, though, but it's traded out. NRX goes again. He clamps down, but N1HEX step off of the point, and Loyalty will hold their ground mercifully, just shy of a full cap onto point B.
My goodness. I feel like we're watching Museum again with these kind of holds in the beginning here, CB. Just incredible work from Loyalty to stall it out as long as they did, especially around that first mission area there. They dragged out the time so much, which made it a much harder endeavor for N1HEX. You know, they weren't able to push it as far as they would have liked there, and this makes it a much lesser of a distance that Loyalty has to cover on their own attacking side right now. A resurgence of them into this game is looking more and more like a reality, and N1HEX, they need to reflect and consider their options going forward, because if they allow this one through, we could be going to a map 3.
Yeah, I think the only option for N1HEX is to go for a full hold. Like, you can't let them have point A, because, you know, then it starts to get in that scary territory where you're not going to have a spawn advantage for any of the fights throughout point B, and, you know, Loyalty can just slip right through the cracks. It's literally that simple. If you're N1HEX, you can't let that become reality.
Absolutely not. You know, if that becomes a reality, it's their nightmare. It's not their dreams coming true in any way, shape, or form. Maybe they need to call Wanda with the reality erasure if that reality comes true. We'll see how it all goes down now, though, as we lock things in to the opening. Loyalty at the ready. Let's see how they will approach the early stage. They're scouting with the portal, so they know what they want to go for here. Potentially early flank action. They know they're playing the high ground, and they're looking to meet them. Hello, and maybe goodbye.
Oh, yeah, there goes Xlail. Press and dart right through the portal, and that is the lion's share of the healing for N1HEX gone. And you needed that healing to keep your dinosaur alive, but unfortunately, Windsor has gone extinct. And it was Gamebo with the God of Mischief there, able to be the one to make it happen. Bumyoung with a nice little uppercut on to Fish. And who needs to shoot fish in a barrel when you can just punch them?
Yeah, just going to be absolutely spearing them down there. So be very happy with that one. And if they can catch even more as the portal comes through for N1HEX to at least stall out the mission area a little while longer. But when you're isolated from your strategists, it becomes very difficult to stay online in a fight, and D-Spooky suffering the consequences of just that there. So N1HEX now down a player and still trying to layer it on a thick here. See, they can stick to it, but maybe not for long. Bum-Hyung there, good for the triple KO. Onwards for 4, say no more. It's going to be their teammates locking that one in. The Spooky and co still separated, but it doesn't even matter. They get the delayed quad there. Why not? They might even go for 5 if they're lucky on the shots, but not today. So well done from Loyalty. They didn't come here to play. They came here to dominate.
And they are dominating this time bank. 5 minutes in it, and a late stagger onto D-Spooky is going to make the swap over onto the Emma Frost, just trying to take the fight directly to this double dino, not let N1HEX go on the rampage that he is going on, but he's about to have a double beast rampage and also a hand of Khonshu. And while it might not be the same wombo combo as the Group Knight, it can be just as deadly and may put an end to N1HEX's lead in this series. And they got to try and make a play here and now and bleed out this entire time bank. Good Moonblade from NRX. That is a great way to start. Now using the Loki clones like Pseudo Onks, and has a pretty good angle onto the back line of Loyalty as they're pretty split. He's able to catch Gamebo outside of the invisible boundary, and that is absolutely huge. But Bum-Hyung taking NRX up to the skies and crashing back down to earth with a Kraken impact. Gonna be the fate of both worlds to try and keep Loyalty and N1HEX on an even playing ground, but as N1HEX start to stamp on through, Winsker is good for it too, and that'll put Loyalty back in the spawn for the time being. But N1HEX, that's only the first fight. You got potentially 4 more that you gotta win, and you gotta be perfect, because look how close that cart is to the full cap.
Getting closer and closer to it right now, and they have to do absolute God's work in order to hold it down for a full just under 4 minutes there. It's going to be a very hard-fought battle ahead. N1HEX, they got a lot of util to do it, so they definitely can fight their time a bit longer. They are bringing down the moon, so going to be a great response there. Joey going down, and X is though ready for the stampede. The Devil Beast rampage ahead there, and looking to see if they can burst through the dance floor. Winston's good with their own stampede onto this one. They will concede Jay-Z, and looking for more. The chomp and stomp there from them will be able to lock down Cambo eventually, and more following suit as well. So N1HEX, they don't commit much to the fight, but what they did commit was working out so wonderfully.
Blaziken nearly gets caught out there. Good sonic detonation for the stun onto Bum-Hyung, and now with those sparks built up, he's going to take a moment before he tries to go for another play here. This is where the mental game is going to start to come in check for Loyalty. They feel like they're so close, they can taste it, but if N1HEX keep these ult rotations going, they might be able to deny this cap from coming out. More ult's going to be coming online. There's going to be that hand of Khonshu coming out, but X-Lail sniping Joey with the Ice Arts right on through. Invisible boundary coming out a little bit late for Gamebo. Blaziken now going to take to the skies with the end song Inferno, looking to try and clamp down. We've caught N1HEX, he's outside of the invisible boundary. We bursted him down, and with that on coming in, NRX is going to be able to find another one, and there's going to have to be another mulligan yet again for Loyalty, and they're running out of chances.
Yeah, their opportunities are just dwindling by the second tier. N1HEX just keep staggering them out time and time again, and they keep charging themselves back up like they've already got the hand of Khonshu at the ready here. X-Lyle pretty close to the dance floor as well, and Loyalty is struggling to keep things strung together here. The opportunities could be slipping from their grasp within moments, but one big fight is still all they need to push this past the line here and get it over the top. So they just need one opening. They're trying for it now with the Psionic Seductions coming down. NRX with the hand of Khonshu though shots down Jay-Z. They're looking to layer in even more, and they will succeed. Loyalty forced to concede even more ground here. Just over a minute and a half to go here, CB. This is looking dire right now.
Yeah, it's disaster mode for Loyalty. They use the Psionic Seduction and the Invisible Boundary in that fight, and they come up with nada. Not even a stagger, elim, or a forced ultimate aside from that hand of Khonshu. D-Spooky did also use the Psionic Seduction, so I guess you can call that good, but now you got to burst through this Fate of Both Worlds from X-Lail. Bum-Hyung is not going to be able to do that alone with the Kraken impact, so maybe Necrobe with this hand of Khonshu is going to be the meal ticket, but nevertheless, there's only one final chance for Loyalty to make this attack stick, to try and get that cap. N1HEX has stood their ground down and bled this time bank out so well. And now that Hand of Conchu is going to come out, trying to burst through X-Lail's dance floor, put a little bit of blood on it. Bum Young goes up high with a Kraken impact, clamps back down, gets the debuff, but can't find the resets. Is being bursted down himself, will be able to cling to life, and now Anixie's going to use that Devil Beast Rampage, but Winsker is going on a temper tantrum of his own. Jay-Z able to find D-Spooky throughout all of it. The opening KO going the way of Loyalty. Blaziken up in the sky with the Unsung Inferno. I don't think he actually struck down back to Earth with that one, so not going to be enough for N1HEX, and Jay-Z is going to make him pay for it anyway, and with a swift backhand, Joey will put Winsker back down, return him to a fossil. N1HEX still trading out though, as NRX able to take down Necrobe, but two more coming through for Loyalty, and N1HEX desperation mode now have to go for that same portal play that Loyalty had to go for. D-Spooky making the swap, NRX holding on to that Hand of Conchu, looking to try and come on through with it, but there's a meaningful boundary. They don't get there in time, and Loyalty will get the dub and take us to a map number 3, and could it really have gone any other way, Matt?
Absolutely not. We're going the full distance, baby! Let's go! Loyalty are back on track here. N1HEX now left behind, just on the edge. The portal was open. They just couldn't slip through in time. Necrobe going to be the MVP on that one. Onto the Moon Knight. And they say good night to Lower Manhattan. Oh my goodness. You know, they are fighting for tournament life right now.
And both teams are so afraid to make these mistakes, but it's back-to-back C9s for N1HEX, both on the attacking side and on the defensive side. Maybe on the defensive side, the portal just didn't come out in time, or people weren't able to step through in time, but nevertheless, they're going to be kicking themselves for that one. And both teams, they got to shake the cobwebs off, and I think Loyalty have done that in a big way on this map, able to clutch it out at the last second. And even still, even if N1HEX get the contest there, it's only the Hand of Conchu, an all-or-nothing Hail Mary from NRX that could have came out. Fortunately for Loyalty, they don't have to see reality, and reality can still be what they make of it. They've got one more map, N1HEX's map pick, to see what reality holds in store for them, and maybe, just maybe, it's a ticket to playoffs.
Maybe they're punching their ticket all the way through to playoffs there to see if they can meet the OCE representatives and join the rest of the Pack Asia cohort there who have punched their ticket through with certainty. It all comes down to this, but for now we get to see some of the showcase of our favorite replays from that map in particular there. Incredible work from the Moons shining through and haunting each other.
Yeah, a lot of haunting happening, and indeed, like, most of these highlights are just going to be Moon Knights. There's going to be a couple of Phoenix ones here and there. This one from Blaziken, who was just hitting the shots left and right. Same as Bum Young as well. Like, it's really like a complete stalemate between these two duelist lines, and it's coming down to these strategists. Are you able to peel for your backline? Are you able to keep, Jay-Z, Gamebo, Fish? Are you able to keep your backline alive? And whether or not you have the strategist ultimates for the occasion is really what is making up the difference between these two teams. But we will settle the differences between these two teams. We have got one more map to decide it all on the other side of this break. Chat, don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it.
Well, after nearly a 5-minute hold on Lower Manhattan, the Iron Curtain of N1HEX's defense falls, and Loyalty managed to park it here on map number 3. CB, what the heck did I just see? What happened with that portal at the end?
It's entirely possible. Like, you brought up the possibility that it could have been a body block, and if so, that's a huge heads-up play from N1HEX. There's still an opportunity, or sorry, a huge heads-up play for Loyalty. There's still an opportunity for N1HEX to go around and try to come out the other side of the portal, but either they weren't able to do that in time, or they didn't think to do that, or it just wasn't gonna happen. Either way, no matter how you slice it, it ends up being a fumble from N1HEX, so close to closing this one out, so close to finally getting that series win that has eluded them all stage long, and crucially, the one that could get them into playoffs. Now it's Loyalty, who are now one map away from closing this one out, and I can't think of a better way to settle this blood feud.
No, I mean, you guys said it best. It couldn't have ended any other way between these two. That bad blood gonna be settled all the way here on map number 3. And for Loyalty, it's gotta feel like a karmic revival from the Golden God himself. And could it really go any other location than Museum of Contemplation? Both of these teams, haymakers delivered on maps 1 and 2, left each other with a lot to contemplate. Matsy, what are we thinking here for map number 3?
Pure chaos all the way through. I've said it from the beginning, I'll say again, it's going to be pure chaos every single day. And definitely keen to see how it all goes down once we lock it in here, Dyer. Do you reckon it's going to go to the 3rd checkpoint?
You know, I said last night when we saw Museum of Contemplation, we weren't going to get anywhere past the lobby of it. I was proven wrong almost immediately with quite a tear through the whole museum. So I'm going to go ahead and say maybe we will get blow for blow here, because these teams got nothing left to hold back. I think they're going to take it all the way to the very end here. So, you know, strap in, grab the popcorn, grab a drink, because Bad Blood round 3 here. Someone is going to walk away the winner of this series. You know, for Loyalty, they gotta be feeling like this is their last chance here, an extra life that they happen to find at the 11th hour.
And it is simple as you win and you're in for Loyalty. And it's a little bit more complicated for N1HEX, but if they shut Loyalty out, then Loyalty are just out. There is no situation where they can win in map differential or head-to-head and qualify. So it's all or nothing. Off of that miracle performance against Rival Esports yesterday, they have managed to take it all to this, where their playoff hopes live or die based on this one map. Whatever happens on Museum of Contemplation will decide where Loyalty will go.
Decide as they collide into the draft now, and it's going to be Gambit, Shutout, Black Cat. Going to be the first protect here. They certainly want to lock that one in early. That does mean that the Dino could be one-sided and denied here. Loyalty going to have to contemplate. Do they take it in that direction? Do they shut something else away?
But now we kind of have to circle back to that scenario I posed earlier before the Black Cat ban came out on Lower Manhattan, where you have to try and worry about X-Lail, and you have to make sure that you get some strategists that can live through whatever he's putting out, especially if you're not able to adequately peel for him for the backline when NRX goes in on this Black Cat, because that was the difference maker back on Burn and T'Challa, and N1HEX are looking to go right back to that same well, and they don't need a dinosaur to do it.
No, they don't need anything to do it, apparently. So, oh no, there's no way. There is no way. I can't believe this. Dino is banned. They protect nothing. Oh my goodness.
I think they wanted to go for a Luna Snow Protect. That's what they were hovering at the last second, but that's banned too. Oh no. Oh, it's disaster, Matt. Oh no. You can miss bans, all right? Missing bans hurts, but it's recoverable. Missing a Protect, your whole strategy's gone.
I can't believe this. I'm in just disbelief over what is happening right now. There's no dinos, no gambits. There is a Black Cat. We'll see what else gets shut away. Oh no, Rocket's gone, and they can protect it for themselves if they want, or they just lock it in on the Phoenix, go double-sided on that one. Likely. We'll see though. Yeah, there it goes. They're hovering it. Surely.
Well, so Loyalty, they just want to raise the stakes, you know? They just want to ratchet up the tension. They really want to overcome as much adversity as possible to make their story, their road to playoffs, that much more triumphant when they inevitably win this, Matt. Right, Matt?
Yeah, they're going to take it. You know what? They were trying to psych N1HEX out by not locking in the protect there. That's the game plan all along. Banning the cap, though, is interesting to see, especially coming in on a map like this one. It does force them to play into the Venom instead there. They won't be able to take the cap to their advantage, so this could come back to bite them later, maybe.
Yeah, but they have to give that up, and you can already see Exile hovering over that Rocket Raccoon. Like, that's the thing that you kind of needed to shut down, because now you have the potentiality of that CYA coupled with the Feast of the Abyss. It's like, yeah, sure, okay, you take out the Captain America, you don't have to worry about the Freedom Charge, you don't have to worry about these fights getting too long and too bloody, but you also got to worry about them being a little bit too short, because one damage amped chomp and it's over.
Yeah, one and done, and it's all over and out here. We'll see what they are gonna do now as we jump into the preparation. Get to take a little look at this beautiful map before we jump into it, and very keen to see what both these teams are looking to bring. They're bringing out the big guns, maybe. They're bringing out their best possible play, absolutely. And X-Lyle and co, you know, they've got everything they could ever want on to this map of Museum of Contemplation here. Loyalty looking pretty good as well, but I don't know. I'm kind of scared of what this map's going to be like.
Yeah, chat is currently crashing out about the misprotect, just as we are, so we'll see. As Loyalty are going to be first up on the defensive side, they're going to be going for that Vibrant Vitality team up, and I do kind of like that. It's a good way to, like I said earlier, absorb the dives that you know are going to be coming your way from D-Spooky and NRX, but they're not controlling this angle, so D-Spooky is actually going to hit from behind. There's going to be the Flame Orb coming out already, so they know where Loyalty are hiding, and Loyalty are trying to take the fight directly to the rest of the N1HEX formation. They need to find an Elim, and they got to find it fast, and their Krobe is good for one, and there is another one, so yeah, take the dive all you want now. It doesn't matter, we already got all we need. NRX able to take down the Krobe, though. That's a little bit rough.
Yeah, it could be even rougher in a second, as well as NRX is prepared to try and dive their way through this one. They're just waiting patiently, staging towards the angles there. They can see that they're playing around the corners, but they're trying to get to the strategist right now. One little moment is all they need. Gambo could go down, and now they play around it alongside D-Spooky here, trying to separate them from each other. See if they can get the damage they require. NRX and D-Spooky in a bit of trouble, but Joey, first one to fall there. D-Spooky traded out as well, so it's a good start on both sides. But N1HEX are taking advantage of the calamity. Looking to push the mission vehicle a little further along.
Yeah, everybody turned around to try and deal with the D-Spooky and NRX dive, so Joey was left alone to hold the line, and Winsger puts a Glock shot right in the frontal cortex, and now you're going to be out without your White Queen for this next one. Banhammer is going to be on deck, and couple that with the Ensong Inferno, you can potentially burst down a single target, or how about 3 for Blaziken, and maybe he even gets the quad here off of Annexes. No, X-Layla is going to steal the glory on that one. It doesn't matter, the damage is done. And N1HEX will get this cart on through. Loyalty already forced to make a swap over onto that Sorcerer Supreme, bring out the Dr. Strange, teleport, bring the fight right back to N1HEX, but they are ready, they are waiting, they have got the ults.
Got the ults and ready to pop them out. CYA back in play. X-Lyle dials it in, and BRB bringing back Vish as well, and looking to see if they can shut things out with the N-Song there, but it's not going to do much. Gambo's good for the beginning. Do have the Soul Resurgence at the ready as well, so Loyalty looking pretty good at the moment, trying their best to shut them out. Necrobe succeeds. Good for the double there, and will be able to stumble N1HEX back to the spawn point for the moment. All they've got to their name is a calling card, and maybe the dance floor and Piece of the Abyss in a second. Gambo could match them though with the God of Mischief here, and they've got that Psionic Seduction. If they build up to Agamotto, they might just be able to hold them out.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping for Loyalty. It's got to be this Eye of Agamotto from Necrobe going absolutely sicko mode. D-Spooky is lurking above in the rafters, looking for another dive onto the backline there, but Bumhyung has sniped him out. Symbiotic Resilience already forced out, but he does get the Regen Domain. Feast of the Abyss is not going to be feasting. Necrobe and D-Spooky traded out, but that is A-okay if you're Loyalty. You've got another opportunity at this one. It's going to be a BRB that comes out, so N1HEX back at full strength, and they are going to leverage that strength, but Joey taking down NRX. No more second chances here. A late Fadeable Blows coming out, and a damage amped Ensong Inferno, and Blaziken does it again, giving N1HEX another chance at this one. There's another triple for Blaziken, looking for the quad, and give him the quad onto Annexes, and N1HEX will have this one. Ain't no sorcerer gonna stop him.
No Sorcerer, no Supreme. It's all going accordingly for N1HEX right now. as they get it over the line off the back of a very strong defense from Loyalty. They must concede the first checkpoint. Look to run it down on the second instead, but they're already making changes here. The Crobe looking to play into the Mantis this time, and X is going to be on the cap as well. Ready to see if they can tap away and put themselves back in play accordingly. They take it slow and steady here, but Whimsicott just trying to poke at them for the moment, but Loyalty are taking it straight to them. They're looking to overwhelm the mission vehicle right now.
I mean, they do have the ult advantage because Bumhyung is going to have that N-Song Inferno before N1HEX build up to anything. It needs to be a dry fight for N1HEX. Even if they lose this, I think they're okay with it if they can bleed out resources from Loyalty, but it's going to come down to who builds up those resources first and who is able to leverage them. And even if you don't, even if you wait for N1HEX to build up to it, you're still bleeding time off the time bank. So it's good for both sides either way to take this fight. There's going to be a Banhammer onto Bumhyung, who does have the N-Song Inferno, can nullify the damage if he needs to, and will do just that, as a Carmen Crush is going to force Whimsicott to retreat back to spawn. They'll actually make a swap over to try and help the rest of the team. While he's not there, D-Spooky is feeling the brunt of Joey's assault, and this should be Loyalty putting N1HEX down for the time being. N1HEX trying to get one as NRX goes in deep. Invisible Boundary coming out from JZ, and Loyalty will not concede another inch.
Yeah, not looking to give them anything further here. N1HEX gonna have to desperately fight on and give it their best to try and get more. CYA is available, calling card in a second as well, but they might not even need it. They found Bumhyung there. Whimsicott good for one, and gonna enjoy all the fun here as the mission vehicle gets moving along to the pillar, and gonna see if they can spill more KOs accordingly. Good dive in, freedom charge popped accordingly from Loyalty there. So just trying to stop them in the back line. Joey will be caught out as well. NRX are good to try and flex their muscles too here. Big damage, and they disparage the strategist lineup. So Resurgence popped out. CYA in play. Beast the Abyss and the N-Song. They are trying to absolutely burn through them right now, and they will succeed in a big way.
And you talk about brute force, all of these damage amped ultimates combined. Fine, you can have it, I guess, whatever. You know, you can, whatever. We're not gonna fight you for this one anymore. Loyalty are gonna have to take their leave, come back into this one. Potential God of Mischief and potential Sonic Seduction. NRX wants to get a little bit of scouting done and stop that from coming out. Does have the calling card and the flame orb in position if he needs it. A nice little yoink onto the wallet of one of the clones. Don't know why Loki gave the clones money that Black Cat can steal, but it doesn't matter. Good sleep coming out though. Not able to confirm that one, but it also forces out the regen domain, and this is a tough situation for Loyalty as they're not able to deal with NRX. He's still lurking, still making himself a problem, and is going to take down JC, and that is disaster right now. Gamebo, though, did get the God of Mischief off. 4 HP, and NRX is able to sneak out the back door and get healing from the rest of his team. N1HEX now as OT ticks over. Want to try and push this one the rest of the way. D-Spooky pushing in deep, taking down the Crobe. Wins are good for one as well. N-Song Inferno from Bumhyung is all they've got, and it's not going to be enough. N1HEX are winning this fight. They just need to put down some of these more beefy members of Loyalty, and they should have the cap onto point B. And Blaziken with a shot onto Bumhyung, a poetic way to make it happen.
They're going to be exactly what they need onto this one. Trying to stall them out in the portal there. Boundary going to be going up as well onto this. Doing the best they can to fight strong, fight hard here. Joey in big trouble. Still going to be able to pop through. They can go back in the portal, get some heals, and come right back into the fight here. They're diving, grinding, giving it the best they can. N-Song coming out. They won't be burnt through. D-Spooky and Co, though, will start the show off again. Joey's finally gone down. Bumhyung going to go down as well. Everything working out for N1HEX here as they force it into the back line. Prime up for the double, triple ripple, and it's going to be N1HEX getting it over the next checkpoint. We are going to the third checkpoint, everybody. Can you believe it? We finally made it back.
I know Loyalty can't believe it. They definitely thought they had a better chance at that hold on to point B, you know, with how far forward they were holding into the spawn, but N1HEX able to just brute force it through twice with the combinations of the N-Song Inferno and the Feast of the Abyss, and NRX just able to capitalize off of the chaos, go crazy in the backline, and carry over a calling card into this next point, and a CYA as well. It's not definitely the ultimate that you want to go for a damage amp, but it's still a pretty good one. Loyalty swapping back to what won them Lower Manhattan, this Moon Knight. Hopefully for them it'll be enough. Early Invisible Boundary to try and take this fight. They're going to stack that up with the Freedom Charge, and now as the CYA comes out, they'll be able to burn that one down, but they need to find so much more than just a burnt beacon if they want to close this one out. Bumhyung will give them the opportunity with a shot to Blaziken.
could follow up with the Van Hammer coming down and the calling card at the ready. Gambo's gone, and they are looking to follow that one up in a big way here. Everybody falling, not going to be able to stall out anything. It's Fish dishing up KOs alongside their team there, and they will be able to string up many a double to their team's lineup here. Jerry, oh my goodness, Joey going to be the one with the Psionic Seduction right now to try and get some traction onto this. Maybe could see something from the Moon as well as the end song, but they really have to stall it out as long as they can here. And N1HEX, all they have is the dance floor right now.
And there's so much damage that can burst right on through it as overtime ticks over, and Loyalty have to try and put their foot down, not let N1HEX get the full cap here, set themselves up for a win condition, but Necrobe is already gone! The Moon will not be haunting Loyalty on this day. It'll come back to haunt them as N1HEX are running roughshod. NRX is able to get 2, and Bumyoung with the Unsung Inferno takes the sky. He's managed to take down X-Lail. Can't burst through the dance floor without the follow-up damage there, so it's just not going to be enough, and he's getting checked by Blaze. Get a swift little 2-tap here. Freedom Charge not going to be coming out anytime soon. There's just no sustainability for the side of Loyalty. No Strategist ultimates, no Vanguard ultimates. They needed the Moon so badly, but it was fully eclipsed by Blaziken and N1HEX as they march on forward and look to try and get this full cap. More ultimates coming online. Gamebo going to try and go for an early God of Mischief to try and give themselves a way forward. A safe passage, but Blaziken is going to make it as treacherous as ever with the N-Song Inferno. He gets another double, and N1HEX look to try and get this full cap here. Psionic Seduction from Joey, but no one is looking, no one is seduced, no one is falling for the wily charms of the White Queen today. NXT is able to go deep and take down X-Lail, but you trade out Bumyoung to try and do it. Fish still being a lethal strategist in the backline, taking him down. Banhammer from Winsger. And is there anyone left to touch? Is there anybody from the side of Loyalty that can stop this cart from going all the way? No, N1HEX, they will have the full cap on Museum of Contemplation, and Loyalty's road to playoffs just got bumpy.
Yeah, big obstacles in their way on this one. Now they have to run it back and go the full distance themselves here. How do they change this one up? How do they look to come back from this? You know, they already had a rocky start, and now it's looking like it's all falling apart piece by piece here. There are some serious issues they need to consider on how they can overcome into this one. Bumyoung there bringing out the Punisher could be a great opportunity for them. You know, playing around that final judgment, we've seen teams able to absolutely rip and tear their way through defenses off the back of that ult there, but it's still gonna have to take more into consideration than just that. You know, Necrobe playing into the strat pool. They're really just trying to pull something together and see what sticks at this point, aren't they?
I mean, a strat pool triple strategist lineup ain't bad, you know? You don't have the Luna Snow, so it's not quite as damage forward as you would like it to be, but it'll do in a pinch, especially with the Mantis there. You can get a lot of work done with those Deagles, even from the backline. So I kind of like this from Loyalty. It's a bit of a curveball, but the problem is they have to try and figure out what their front line is going to be, and Anaxes isn't quite sure if it's going to be the Thor, if it's going to be the Hulk. They're going to start off with Joey on the Doctor Strange for the time being to leverage that team up with the Invis Woman, but that alone does not a strategy make, and you need a rock-solid strategy if you want to push this all the way. So let's see what Loyalty have in the tank. It looks like the Thor is going to be their weapon of choice, and they're going to forego the strat pool and instead go with the Jeff.
Jeff looking to be on a lock this time around, and it looks like the KO is going to be unlocked too. Bumyoung good up for the opener there. NRX going to be brought back by the BRB though, but they might be shut out again if Bumyoung is allowed to just play for free here and just pump up a ton of damage. But speaking of damage, they are trying to disparage things in the backline. D-Spooky and Co stopping the flow of the mission vehicle, and will find a double KO. So good up for the two. They're going to break out through with another. Let's see if they can make it work.
And against this Rocket, like, you really want to ride that momentum, but they're not able to do that as the KOs come back the other way. Loyalty aren't able to make it worth their while. So the BRB that they burned in that first fight with that pickoff onto NRX, it's going to be back online before this next fight kicks off. And Loyalty have to make some swaps. Anaxes off of the God of Thunder and over on to the Symbiote. Got to match this Venom, but D-Spooky is spitting that Venom on the backline, taking down Gamebo and Necrobe. That's a nice little two-piece onto the backline for D-Spooky. And even if you turn around to go for the peel, there's still so much more damage coming your way that for this guy, the job is already done. He can clock out.
Yeah, clock out, go on vacation, and maybe they'll take a trip to the museum, just in a more casual setting. But they are going to be looking to lock things down on the flank here. NRX is scouting ahead, while the rest of their team takes the majority of the damage here. N1HEX up front. Boundary going to be popped. NRX are not able to inject themselves into the fight as Loyalty command respect here, and will be able to force the issue.
I'm not quite sure where the BRB was, but there was no res that came out for Winsker and N1HEX. Like, they're gonna have to go for a portal play if they want to try and shut this one down. I don't see anyone making the swap, so I think they can go in for another touch. And if they do, they've got the ults to make it work. You can see D-Spooky's silhouette over there on the left-hand side. Bumhyung gonna turn around towards the door, does see some strategists, and also sees Winsker and thinks that that is the easiest target to go for. Final Judgment gonna come out, hoping to try and burn down the members of N1HEX. It's Jeff from the Crow Bay. It's not gonna be able to find what he's looking for as he cut down by NRX, saving the rest of his team. And Fate of Both Worlds and a Feast of the Abyss, N1HEX are gonna be getting themselves right back in this fight. And you want to get Blaziken out of it as quickly as possible because he's bringing the fight straight to your front door. N1HEX able to stand their ground and didn't even need the Doctor Strange to do it.
Yeah, not required in any way, shape, or form there, so their confidence paying off in this one. See if they need it later, though. They are going to be looking to hold things down. D-Spooky, I like this scouting. They don't know what's behind them. They don't know what's lying in wait here, preparing to make a big play. Their team are ready and waiting as well. As they jump into it with the banhammer right now, diving straight in on strategist. Going to be the Eye of Agamotto off the front, though. Joey, good to shut down NRX. Not going to be so lucky with D-Spooky, however, and NRX will be back on deck with the BRB, but D-Spooky, so critical in the health department. Luckily, does escape, but Loyalty, this could be an opening opportunity. CYA in play, calling card as well. CB, it's time to fight back.
Yeah, but the CYA still came out in Fish, and NRX going crazy with the damage. Ice Arts from Fish. He's bursting down too. Gambo and Anixes both down, and only less than 40 seconds left to go for Loyalty. That was a huge clutch KO from Bumhyung to take down X-Lail there, but it was just a second too late.
Second too late as the gates are now starting to head towards a close here. The time reaching utmost critical. Loyalty, they need to lock it in. The end song could lock them out though, as they try and fight their way through right here, right now. Guns blazing. Blaziken bounces ahead with D-Spooky. Gambo's down, and TB, they're going to town on the KOs, trying to stop them before they can even start.
2 seconds left in Loyalty's tournament lives flashing before their very eyes. They are on critical mode right now. We're gonna have the Invisible Boundary and a Final Judgment both coming out, but D-Spooky waiting out the storm. They don't know he's up there. He's not gonna get bursted down. Bumhyung not finding any elims off the back of it, and Winsker has access to the backline, taking down Gamebo. So much of the damage that Loyalty need, it's just not gonna be there. Joey's gonna take down Blaziken on the other side, and D-Spooky on critical HP. Bumhyung with a shot, he's able to find two. Winsker going in with the katanas, trying to keep N1HEX alive, but seemingly, miraculously, Loyalty with the shoddy shots, one shell and one prayer, Loyalty are able to keep this hope alive.
Yeah, an Angel with a shotgun there. They will be able to lock it in for their team and save their tournament lives for a while longer. Gonna be very happy with that outcome, and they get to move on to the next stage of the fight, fighting for the second checkpoint here. And X is playing off the top there, playing off the ropes, looking to just hide patiently, scout things out for their team, and see if they can pry them up and fight ahead of this one. Winsker playing very forward as well, does have their team behind them, but could get shut out if they're not careful here. It's Jeff coming out as well, the Grobe ready to try and disparage things, but it's Bumhyung again with the shotty, shotting down their vanguard, and Blaziken getting left behind as well. Bumhyung is unstoppable here.
The Feast of the Abyss from D-Spooky got canceled, and sure, he'll get res right back up, but you can't afford a loss like that. Joey with the Maelstrom is going to defeat Winsker. It's traded up for Gamebo, but NRX is going to have to give his life to make that one happen, and that's going to amount to a man advantage and more cart progress for Loyalty as N1HEX have to disengage. They got to back out. They're going to try and contest the cart a little bit longer now that D-Spooky's back in the equation. A good freeze onto Joey to slow things down, force most of the damage onto Anixes, but Loyalty are healing him back up quite nicely. And Song Inferno going to come out to try and shut down the Final Judgment. He'll get into Crobe, and that is good enough. A nice cooked shark soup for the side of Loyalty, and N1HEX now have the man advantage on their side as the End Song Inferno from Blaziken pays off. He's good for one more as well, and NRX goes in deep. He finds two, he finds three, and Loyalty once again going into critical mode as it's a quad for NRX, and N1HEX, they get to carry 3 more ultimates into this next fight, and it might be Loyalty's last.
One last fight, one last opportunity. NRX are trying to just stifle the opportunity before it can even begin here. Oh my goodness, almost having their own life stifled out, but it's going to be D-Spooky jumping into it. They've got the feast available. They could be eating good. Akamoto, though, shuts down the opportunity to use it, at least for a second. They jump straight into it, though. Necrobe maybe in a bit of trouble as they try and struggle forward, but they will be able to shut down Gambo. So going to be good for the start here. Joey in trouble as well. N1HEX just forcing them as far away from the mission vehicle as possible. Somebody has to get there and tap. Somebody has to touch this. And next season could be all on you. 5 seconds in a dream. Somebody needs to get on it right now. And they will push it to OT, CB.
And Joey is there, able to take down NRX. Blaziken on the back foot as NRX gets res back up, and N1HEX gonna be back to full strength before long, and Loyalty again in full desperation mode, but they've got a chance, and that is all they need. But Fish may have just robbed them of that chance with a freeze on the game bow, and he shuts down Annex, sees Blaziken taking down Necrobe, and it's all going dark. Loyalty, they fought so hard, they tried so hard to get here, but their tournament lives will end here at the hands of their nemesis. N1HEX will take it in 3.
Oh my goodness, they get it done in the end there. Loyalty so close yet so far, but N1HEX will deliver justice and claim victory into the bout. My goodness, Blaziken MVP, absolutely well deserved on that one. They were burning through the competition.
Like back-to-back triple KOs, every end song Inferno, you felt it in your chest if you were a Loyalty fan. It hit right at the heart and stopped the heartbeat. Bumhyung tried so hard, whether it was trying to match the Phoenix or whether it was on the Punisher. Got a lot of work done with that Punisher, but just not quite enough, because every time he thought he could get the damage to try and burst down D-Spooky, he had to turn his back to make it happen. And when you turn your back to the rest of N1HEX, they'll make you regret it, whether it's Blaziken, whether it's Winger, or whether it's NRX. And believe me, it was NRX. 24 final hits for NRX is definitely nothing to sneeze at. 22 for Blaziken. That is why this team has been such a threat, why they've been able to punch up against some of the best in this region, and why they have now got their first series win and potentially, just maybe, punch their ticket to playoffs. There's still a chance.
Still a chance, still an opportunity to advance here, depending on how things go. We don't got the math before us, but I'm sure they'll work it out, maybe by the end of today's broadcast. But my goodness, I can't believe what we've witnessed. You know, everybody has been able to claim a series victory in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, everybody's taking a win somehow. And we get to see exactly how that went down in the replay right now.
And again, it was Blaziken finding these triples, finding these quads, finding these Phoenix shots. Bro was just clicking heads like it was his job, and you know what? It is. And job well done. They can clock out for the night. Their work is done. They get to live to see another round, and Loyalty are going to be kicking themselves because they came so close. They wanted it so bad, but they just couldn't deal with the onslaught that N1HEX brought their way, and I think they're going to be really regretting missing that protect in the pick and ban phase. That came back to haunt them, I think, in a very big way, but not quite as big as NRX, Blaziken, and D-Spooky as well on the Venom, drawing so much aggro, so much attention away from the front line where you really needed that damage to be. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you can't pinpoint exactly where missing that save would have hurt them down the line, it casts a shadow over the entire last map of the series. And it will leave Loyalty wondering what could have happened if they had one more save, what could have turned the tide, because you guys nailed it on the head during that draft phase. So important to get those saves, even more so than the bans. But it is N1HEX erasing Loyalty's reality here, and you know, flowers to Blaziken and NRX all series long over the last couple days, absolutely stepping up to the plate and delivering value at every turn. And guys, I've been doing a little bit of calculating here. I got the abacus out. I've done some math here. There might be a chance. It's a very, very slim chance. It might be by one map in the map differential. It is going to depend on how Rival versus Zero Tenacity goes down in the closer for tonight. So, you know, if you needed any more reason to stick around and watch the back half of this broadcast, that's one. But yeah, so painfully close for Loyalty. But what a show they put on here. Definitely came into their own here in these last couple matches.
I think no matter which team lost, your heart was going to go out to them because, you know, you saw N1HEX. Like I said, I became a fan of them, taking maps off of so many teams, like even Zero Tenacity, a team that they have no business even being in the series against, still able to make it close and make it competitive, but not being able to finish it, and they finally do on this one. So it's sweet, but it's also bittersweet because you saw Loyalty drop 24 maps, and then suddenly there's a chance. They beat Rival Esports, and suddenly they have a way forward in playoffs, and they came so close against N1HEX, but not close enough, and that is the bitterness. It is a very bittersweet finish, but it is where we are nonetheless, and I wouldn't even call it a finish because, like you said, we still have so much more action tonight, and that last series is going to dictate who gets to go and who is going to have to bid us adieu.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt a serious heartbreaker here for Loyalty, but N1HEX, again, they have risen to the occasion here and left us in pure chaos now here. Still for this 6th slot, it is still up in the air. I'm still doing the math here on that map diff just to make sure, but of course, here in a few moments, we will hear from one of the members of N1HEX. For the first time in Stage 1, they'll be in the hot seat for an interview, but Matsy, I mean, you have to look at this last map and how close it came. A miracle overtime play at checkpoint 1 for Loyalty, keeping themselves in the game, keeping me on the edge of my seat. I think I got to do some repairs on my chair here because I nearly fell out of it at one point in that match.
Yeah, maybe you might need to have a chat to Emma Frost about a new chair. I hear that she has a good throne, you know, might need to find one at the same shop, you know what I mean? But no. What an incredible series. You know, I was on the edge of my seat as well all throughout. You probably saw me going absolutely wild in the green room there. So, yeah, no, absolutely incredible series from both sides there. Loyalty just suffering the consequences of some little mistakes, you know.
And some big ones.
Yeah, and some big ones. All right, we weren't sure, and some big ones. But we get to talk to the victor right now. It's time for an interview, Diatonic.
Yeah, that's right. We have NRX on the line here from N1HEX. NRX, my friend, welcome in. How are you guys feeling over there?
I'm feeling very good, bro. Finally, we're getting a win. Finally.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one. I was gonna ask because, you know, you guys have taken maps off of so many other teams, but just not been able to close out any of these series. How does it feel to finally have that particular monkey off your back and be able to close one out and get a dub?
I mean, as I said, the feeling of winning is pretty good, and we've been kinda inconsistent in the previous games. We take some maps, but we lose and choke some maps, but suddenly we won.
Yeah, great outcome for your team there. And I gotta know, what was the reaction from you guys on a couple of things? Like, how did you feel when they gave you Gambit in the first map, but how did you also feel when they didn't protect anything in that last one?
I mean, some teams in NA and EU are leaving Gambit open, but I don't know. We haven't practiced Gambit that much, but I think we played good with Gambit. And to be honest with the save, we just left. Not gonna lie.
I was going to say, it feels like teams probably aren't prepping too much with Gambit, considering it's so rare to see him make it through the draft. I mean, you know, especially these last couple days, you know, I was on the desk last night too. You guys have really come into your own in the back half of this group stage, especially you and Blaziken stepping up big time. Is something changed kind of in the background? You know, is there some kind of cleanup on comms, or kind of what's changed here in the last couple days that have made you guys look so clean?
I mean, we just focus on like scouting and that stuff. We've been doing VOD reviews with coaches. Louis is also helping us. Like, he's not just a player. That guy is insane. Like, overall, that guy is actually insane.
True.
So that's what changed. It's mostly comms.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looks cleaner for sure. It looks like you guys are playing more strong as a unit than ever before. I guess, you know, obviously you guys feel free if you got any more questions, but I did just want to say, you know, if you got anything to say to the region, to chat, of course, to anybody out there, you want somebody to know, obviously still kind of waiting to see where things fall in terms of that last playoff slot, but the floor is yours, my friend.
We're coming to the playoffs. Just keep that in mind. We have trust that other teams are going to lose. I'm not saying anything, but I think we're making it to playoffs, and we are getting better by better. Like, step by step, we will probably end 4th or 5th, hopefully. That's our target.
Ooh, I was actually gonna ask, like, you make it to playoffs, how deep you go, but you answered my question for me. 4th or 5th, I like that. I think if you guys get a little bit more consistent, this isn't a question, this is just me gassing you up. I think if you guys get a little bit more consistent, like you mentioned, you know, you get a couple of those wins against teams that you were able to take 2-3 maps here. That's not out of the question. 5th or 6th, I think that's doable for you.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I mean, gonna be all about finishing the meal, of course, going forward. But tonight, you guys cleaned house here against Loyalty. An absolute heater and a pleasure to get to watch it. N1HEX, congratulations, my friend. I will let you go and get some rest. And, of course, I'm sure y'all will be keeping eyes on the last couple matches. But, again, congratulations. And hopefully not the last time we will talk to you here in Stage 1.
okay. Thank you. Goodbye, guys. See you later.